When President Trump set off on his first foreign trip, I think the feeling among many in the media, though few would say this out loud, is, well, this will be a nice distraction for him. He'll generate some nice stories and photo ops as he goes to these different foreign capitals, and maybe it will take a little bit of the pressure off of the Russia investigation, you know, the story we really care about, and the congressional testimony and the allegations of collusion and the stories suggesting the president or his people trying to perhaps derail the FBI investigation and all of that because he'd be performing on the world stage. And I think what's happened is, first with the speech to Saudi Arabia, and then with the meetings in Israel, and then yesterday the meeting with Pope Francis, is that the trip is actually generating a lot of news, and the consensus, even among those who are not wild about this president, is that he's doing pretty well. And so I think, you know, sure, the Russia story is still percolating around, and it kind of pops up all day in newspapers and on websites and on cable news. It's not like it, especially after officials like John Brennan, former officials I should say, testified, it's still chugging along. But the fact is, this guy who is a rookie at politics, who is a businessman who's never served in public office, has delivered a speech on Islam in Saudi Arabia and talking about terrorism. He has waded into the age-old Israeli-Palestinian disputes in meeting with Bibi Netanyahu and Mahmoud Abbas. And then the meeting with the Pope really struck me. And now, initially, it was a picture of the president and his family and Pope Francis. Pope Francis was kind of stone-faced, and I thought, well, this might be really awkward because during the campaign, it's just over a year ago, if you remember, they really got into it. I mean, these are two leaders who differ on subjects like immigration and climate change. And the Pope had made a statement, or was quoted as making a statement, about how building walls, meaning the wall along the Mexican border, if you do that, you're not a Christian. And Trump hit him right back, saying, well, if the Vatican gets invaded, he might wish that Donald Trump would be elected president. But now they were there, and it seemed like it was a cordial meeting and the exchange of gifts. And, you know, it's nice to have personal diplomacy. But you don't, you know, all these leaders don't have to get along and be best buddies. What matters is whether they can work together. For example, could the United States and the Vatican cooperate on combating Christian persecution? And the same thing with some of the other world leaders. You know, the president got off to a rocky start with Peña in Mexico, and with Angela Merkel, it seemed pretty cold at first. But ultimately, you know, leaders act in the self-interest of their countries. And so I've seen some say, well, you know, President Trump's had a pretty good trip, but this isn't the real him. He's so scripted. They have so many events, they're keeping him busy. He's barely tweeting, and as soon as he comes back, it'll be chaos again. Well, I don't know about that. All administrations meticulously plan these trips, but the fact is the people who planned it, and Jared Kushner deserves some credit here, and some of the foreign policy hands, and H.R. McMaster and others, they came up with an ambitious schedule, but the president has done his part. You know, he has stayed on message, he has given good speeches, he has had good meetings, and I think he is kind of being seen in a little bit different light. Doesn't mean these other problems don't go away. There still could be a staff shakeup. We still have these investigations. But particularly, I think the moment with the Pope kind of symbolized that Donald Trump can represent our country, even in areas where there are difficult relations. Now, that doesn't sort of wipe out the other problems, and it doesn't wipe out the negative media coverage. But for one moment, I'm willing to say, hey, he's having a pretty good week, and the media, reluctantly or otherwise, are recognizing that.